Are we live? Yep, we're live. Good evening, everybody, or good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you're watching the replay of this. Welcome back to WHU TV live on YouTube and where are we? Periscope, for that matter. I'm used to saying Facebook and Periscope. My name's John, your host as always, and as you can see, I'm making her second appearance on the channel in 8 months now. Is Lena Starr. Lena, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Stir crazy from working from home since Monday, but other than that, tickety boo. So if my eye starts twitching, you understand why.
Yeah. Obviously, I've been working from home too. If you can't tell, I'm dressed down. I have my glasses on, so I'm pretty much in home mode, and I have been for about 2 weeks now. So
as usual, this live stream is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website. Guys, you know the spiel, and any purchases that are going to be made through that link, the commission that the channel would normally get will be going directly through to Isla's Fight. So thank you very much for that. And of course, guys, talking to merchandise as well, for that matter, the company that prints out and ships out these t-shirts, there is literally 20% off between now and now on Friday. Now I know everyone's trying to penny pinch at the minute, but so you're basically, in a way, you're not paying VAT. So if you like the t-shirt, you want to check it out, there's also a link in the description for the channel shop as well. Right, so just have a quick say hello to who's in the live chat. Dave's always around. Dave, good evening. As is Harry. Evening, everyone. New face there by the looks of it, Richard Thomas. Good evening, guys. Hope everyone is good. And Harry's also talking a few things as well. How's on keeping up without the footy? Harry, we'll talk about that in a little while, as you can imagine. Where are we? Gary Marginson said, "I hate it, no footy." Jay Jazz is in the room. Hello, mate. Good to see you again. And Neil from South Down Under again. It's 6:30 on the Thursday morning.
so early.
I know we all joke about it when Neil comes on, but mate, it's a bloody good thing you retired, mate. I tell you, it really is good. And who else we got? And Stevie Warboys as well. So hello, guys. Right, so because obviously, as everybody knows, we are very, very in a bad situation at the minute. Lena, first and foremost, tell us how life is in your part of the woods over in LA.
Well, as you can see, I actually put this on because, weirdly enough, it's a crazy timing. It's rarely ever cold and rainy in LA, but on top of everything going on with the coronavirus, quarantine, it's actually freezing cold here. So it's very weird and surreal because of that right now, which is why I'm bundled up. But I'm surviving. Thankfully, weirdly enough, I usually kind of stockpile stuff because I tend to not go out very often. When I'm in town in LA, I kind of sort of work from home a lot. So it kind of worked out that I already had a fair supply of, non-perishable goods and toilet paper. So, I'm lucky, but now I'm trying to conserve. But, I'm just trying to stay positive. That's the best I can do. But all my strip club closed down in town, so I can't work there. At least until March 31st. So all my places of work that I can actually go to, I can't go to right now. So I have to do everything from home. So it's a little bit hard. I'm trying to adjust.
I can well imagine. And likewise, as I say, because I've been working from home, as we were talking just before we went live, since Monday. It's supposed to be a test on Monday. But then it literally announced what was announced on Monday afternoon. And we got an email through saying very late on Monday night saying, yeah, work from home for the foreseeable future, which isn't great, because it's kind of like as everybody likes to do, we try and keep the world away from the home, and now it's literally infesting itself in here. But just I know, Leno, I gave you the bit of a breakdown, but we're going to jump around on it at the minute because one thing. We were talking about this earlier today. It was been floated around for the last day or so. More specifically with the press conference that Donald Trump had, which was at lunchtime, your time. Basically, there was there's a couple of journalists in there that were trying to hit the racism angle without actually saying it. When one of his aides, I can't remember who it was, jokingly said that this was what was it? Kung flu. Now,
yeah.
I sympathise because that's not what you do when you're in that level. It's all tongue in cheek. It's wordplay, granted, But that what they were taking the angle from was the fact that he referred to it as China virus. Now, apparently, that's a racist term. Now, Lena, can you explain to me how this is racism?
Well, I can see the reason why I think that it's just not a tactful thing for them to say, because of the fact that they should be very mindful of the fact that Trump has been really racist, as far as we can remember, but they should be tactful because outside of, whatever the sphere of Washington, people have been using it as an excuse to be xenophobic. So I can see why that people brought it up, because they're basically trying to say that he's encouraging, by putting it such an emphasis on calling it, China flu or China virus, that they're encouraging this kind of xenophobia. But I do understand also that he's saying like that it comes from there, and that's being factual.
Yeah. I mean, it's not discriminatory.
It's not really in this time.
Yeah, exactly. But as I say, it's not discriminatory in any shape or form. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Neanderthals were discovered in the Tal River in Germany, however long ago it was, which is why they're called Neanderthals, because it's meaning from that riverside. The Ebola virus was called the Ebola virus because of the river that it was originally found in. This isn't racism in any shape or form. It's making it as a fact, because it's like Spanish flu. That's not deemed as a racist term, because it was came from Spain.
I just think that there should also be an emphasis on, which he's not bothering really to do, to say, don't, not to an extent that he should, meaning to say like, by the way, you shouldn't be attacking people. Like, he's trying to cover his tracks by saying, I have nothing but love for the Chinese people. But in reality, I think he's not trying in any way, shape, or form to stop the xenophobia, because there was a huge thing. Like, when it first started, I remember being in my strip club and someone saying like, oh, well, I work with all these Asian people and I'm freaked out. And it was just kind of like, have they been to China recently? It's not like they're just magically gonna get it. So I get where people are coming from, but I also see where you're coming from. Like, it's just supposed to be a factual origin,
Yeah. Kung flu.
Though yes, that's kind of
bad. That should never have been said.
Exactly. That one is that clearly trying to be, not very tactful.
Cool. Well, I just want to making his debut on the channel, because he's never been in the chat before, is the other JP. It's good. He works heavily with Hammer's chat. Johnny, mate, it's good to see you. Hope you're keeping all right, mate. Now that brings me on quite rightly, because while we're going live literally now, there are two other live events going on at the minute. One's on Twitch with Antonio and Sigurdsson. Ryan Segignon, or however you pronounce it, the former Fulham winger that we were right back or left back. He was left back. We were linked with, is now at Spurs. Him and Antonio are playing live on Twitch now. Apparently, if Antonio loses this game to Ryan, that he has to wear a Spurs shirt. So Antonio, if you're watching on the replay of this, mate, please, I hope you haven't lost this. I hope you've beaten the crap out of him.
I know. That is really funny, because I get asked that all the time too, almost as like a bet, or like some, I mentioned to you that one time where I went on like a date with that guy who was a Tottenham fan. He kept pushing me and kept asking me, he's like, well, if will you wear a Tottenham shirt for me? And I kept saying like, no, there's no fucking way it's gonna happen.
My skin's gonna burn.
I know, exactly. It's just never gonna happen. So it is really funny. Like, obviously, like when it comes to like in all actuality, like unless the game counts as standing, I don't really care. But it's all in good fun, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. What was it? And also as we speak, Dio and Gonzo are live on Hammer's chat playing each other on FIFA. So that would be interesting to see what that is afterwards. So it's interesting that all events. That's why I said on the tweet that there's a busy YouTube, because as I say, there's two channels literally live, as there always is. I'm sure there's other live stuff going on as well. But yeah, it was quite funny that all three broadcasts started at exactly the same time. So people are spot for joy for live content.
Yeah, right. Maybe every team should just start playing FIFA live, and that'll be our way of getting our fix until everything comes back on.
Do you know what? I wouldn't be at all surprised. This is the whole reason why Gio and Gonzalo are doing it at the minute. That's exactly why they're doing it. But yeah, it'd be interesting. But okay, so because remember when we spoke, You were going to come back on in January, but unfortunately you were hit with a bug at that point. But I did say that we wanted to get you back on in January for catch up. Now, revisiting your league prediction.
It's hilarious. I know. Looking back on it, I remember saying like, "Well, we're going to be a top 7." So, um, but weirdly enough, I think with all of this happening, depending on what happens, because they say they want to resume in June, but or did they push it now? I don't know. But in all actuality, I think, and I think this probably answers one of your other questions. I think what they should do is just, cancel and just resume next time. The season should be canceled. They should bring up West Brom and Leeds and play with 22 teams.
Yeah, which we were talking about now. I say, because I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people that are watching may have jumped on you calling you another Karen Brady, because that's not where you were going with it. Because we had this conversation where basically that my personal opinion of it is if we can't play the rest of the season, which is probably very, very likely, that we freeze the season now, take the table as it is, and then we go to 22 league team as a result of it. And then likewise with those that are trying to get to the automatic promotions for League One into the Championship and so on and so forth, because it's the only fair way to do it.
Exactly.
I think in a way that's where Karen Brady was going with it, but she just fucked it up royally. She always does.
Yeah, I know. Well, everyone wants to have a perfect answer, but there's just really nothing, especially since we don't know what will happen, and it's hard to know. So one good thing is that of course like China seems to be bouncing back. So hopefully what we'll see, fingers crossed that the rest of the world will be bouncing back soon. But realistically, especially since we've lost the momentum, since everything is stopped, it's, I think that's where it's going to go.
You're absolutely spot on there, Lena, as you always are. Because at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Using China and North Korea, or South Korea, as a yardstick for what's going to happen is perfect. Is the perfectly logical thing to do it. The only problem is they're 3 months ahead of us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So in that sense, like I don't know if. Well, I guess hold on. What? It's March, April, May, June. Somewhere around June, I guess. So it's kind of real. Fair enough.
It'd be June, July, which is around about the time I've been saying to my mates that that's the very, very earliest that things will get back to normal, which is really annoying because it's the 40th anniversary of the FA Cup this summer, this late spring, and it's also my 40th birthday, and I had a holiday planned for a week. It's a perfect holiday, absolutely brilliant. 7 days, all inclusive in a 5-star hotel, and this bloody happens. But
oh my God, I'm so sorry.
But it's one of those things. It's the one bloody time I organise a holiday on my birthday, but yeah, it's so yeah. I do kind of feel jinxed in a little way from that side of things, but it may also explain why we haven't won anything since literally the day I was born. So that's but can't help it. Okay, so because also earlier this evening. Because it's not obviously, I mean, as we all know, it's not just football that's been affected. Rugby's been affected, cricket's been affected, the Formula One's been affected, potentially probably the MotoGP has been affected as well, and now the tennis is being affected as well, which is a real heartbreak of mine because I really love watching tennis. I don't really like the clay stuff that's been postponed until June. I'm more your sort of like your French Open and Wimbledon fan when it comes to tennis, but yeah, So that's another thing that we're probably not going to see. I think the Grand Nationals out of the equation as well for horse racing for the next few months. It's just
I'm actually surprised tennis is because you could. I mean, realistically, you could play in a closed court without any spectators since there's so few players. I mean, that's just my thought on how it could go since that's what they're doing with a lot of TV shows. That they're doing no audiences. I'm surprised they wouldn't try to do something with tennis with closed courts, just no spectators.
But But I mean, you're right. I mean, because that's one of the reasons, unfortunately, the reason why all the leagues were closed down at the same point. Because when it comes to TV programs, they get their money from the sponsorship for the adverts and stuff. Whereas with Wimbledon, not all of it, but the majority of it will be gate money and people buying the drinks and all that sort of stuff. So, which is the same reason why the football's been suspended.
That part, but I do watch tennis, not so much anymore. I used to watch a lot more when I was younger because my family plays a lot of tennis. but and I used to play too. But yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first sports I grew up loving before football came in the equation. You always used to watch the Formula One and always used to watch tennis. I still watch tennis. I'm bored of Formula One now, but really enjoy watching the tennis. Okay, so back to topic, back to text.
Yeah, back to
Out of everybody that has played for the 3/4 of the season, who has really impressed you this season?
Well, Rice always. I would say the new kid, Nagakia, I don't think I'm saying that right, the right back. Obviously Suchek and Bowen, and I guess Agbana's been better this season than anybody else. But that's everybody. I mean, that's really the best I can say.
Fair enough. Okay, so and the flip of the coin, who's annoyed you this season? And I've got a funny feeling this may take a few minutes.
That's funny, and it's so sad how it's so much easier to name who's annoyed you. I mean, obviously Pellegrini and the board, and that's not those aren't players, but they're players in the in the broad game of things.
I've just got to interrupt you very quickly because we've got another troll in the account pretending to be me. So goodbye, sunshine. Continue.
Oh yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, now I see what you're saying. Obviously, I was gonna say Anderson has been really just annoying just because he just seems like he just doesn't care. Hasn't been putting much effort in. Very few times he actually mentally in the headspace of the top form Anderson that we like to see. Obviously Wilshire because where is he? He's just homesick. And Sanchez, I can't wait to see the end of him. And even out there sometimes, I mean, I'm still rooting for him. I still love him, but I'm just frustrated that he's so. I don't know that he's so frustrated.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I like the response you did to my tweet when I was asking the questions to Dave and X, who are also recording now, basically. Because that was quite a good one.
It's sorted.
Yeah, I really hope if they do read that question out, because it was a bit was tongue in cheek. I basically asked them who's going to recover first, the entire world or Jack Wilshere. So it'd be interesting to see what their answer is going to be. And your little retort to it is you can't put the world on a tumble dryer. That was good. I like that. All right, so you've kind of touched on it a little bit more, but I want to wrap your brains on this one for a second. What do you think's gone wrong this season? I know it's a normal West Ham season, but what do you think's gone wrong?
Really, I think unfortunately the most important thing that's gone wrong is when Fabianski got injured. I think that really made everything spiral downward. And unfortunately, since he's come back, I don't think he's just been and fully recovered. He just hasn't been as good as he was. And I'm not going to blame him for it. It's not his fault he got injured. He just, it happens and it just sucks. It's awful. And what can you do? But it's crazy to think that right before he got injured, we were so hopeful, and then we had to deal with fucking Roberto. Yeah, it sucks. So that's really the main thing that I think went wrong.
So what do you think about Martin when he was in goal for the 4 or 5 games before Fabianski came back?
I mean, he was okay. He was definitely. I mean, he wasn't anything to sneeze at, but he wasn't as bad as Roberto, in my opinion. But who could be at that point? So
pun intended. Nothing to be sneezed at. Yeah, pun intended.
That first game, that he played after Roberto, that obviously was probably the most pressure, or the most and the least pressure, because you felt like, well, I would have to really mess it up royally to really let people down, but he I think he did well, and I think he made his family proud. So
definitely. I mean, there's no better place to make your debut than Chelsea away and keeping a clean sheet. That was an amazing day. That really was. And you could see what it meant to him afterwards, how he reacted to the crowd and how he still reacts to the crowd for that matter.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people criticize him because he's a former Millwall keeper, and we all had a laugh at his expense last season in the FA Cup, especially that televised. And I thought, here we go, there's another Joe Hart in the making. But Yeah, I'm very happy with the good. I think he's done really really well, and it's a bit of a shame that he's been sidelined again, but it is what it is. I mean, Fabianski, in my opinion, was rushed back, massively rushed
Oh
back,
yeah.
as it always is with West Ham. But I think we would have been all right for another couple of games if we'd kept Martin in goal. But we're never going to know. But you proved last night when you made your debut for Hammers polls last night, and what I've been telling you ever since we've been properly talking for the last 7 or 8 months is you do know your football. And you proved it last night with your choice for captain of next season. And guys, you might not know this, but Lena's also every now and again been doing tweets about the players that she thinks should be coming in. Lena, do you want to identify your target for us?
Yeah, so scouting, obviously I'm scouring the world. I keep watching all my YouTube videos and I think I'm doing a pretty great job, better than some people on the board. But I'm pretty sure I'm doing just the same tactic as they are, which is just freaking watching videos of people around the world and just taking a chance on them. But yeah, no, it's a fun little job I have. I just can't, I can't help but having a laugh and seeing it, especially when things are really going shitty for us. It's fun to just say like, oh, here's a better person than this player. It'd be better for us right now. It's always good to have some humor about bad situations, especially with
Absolutely.
the state of the world.
So, for example, who are the players that you've been keeping an eye on?
Well, mostly mine have been a joke, but I haven't really been looking that much. I mean, right now I've been really focused, unfortunately, on my other job that's not West Ham related. So I haven't been looking that much. I've just been really happy with Suchek and Bowen. So yeah, no, I've mostly just been doing it for a laugh. But yeah, I've been really sidelined with work. Otherwise, I would if I get any new ones, I'll have to let you know. Like if I actually see non-joking players that aren't the little children or dogs, then I'll have to let you know.
Dave, if you're still in the chat, mate, can you just make sure this fake account stops coming back, mate? Because it's the second time this person's come back again. I'm trying to block it from my side, but it doesn't seem to be working. So, guys, if you can, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ian's in the chat here, just saying quickly. Thanks to both JP and Lena for their appearance on my video last night. It was brilliant. It was great stuff, and it was good to see one of the highest views that the channel's had as well, for that matter. So
yeah, I think everyone needs something to watch, during this time.
Yeah, definitely 100%. Because that's basically.
Well, I want to do a calendar at some point, and I think now I have enough merchandise that I can do it. But that's the first thing that I want to do. And honestly, I might have to bring it out sooner than later. People are itching for things to take up their time, and so why not just try to cater to my West Ham side of my Twitter.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we like we're saying, we've all got a lot more time on our hands now, so we've got to try and sort.
Well, you think in that sense, like, well, I guess sort of my side of the work that is a lot online, like people who want to chat online or call me, has gone up because obviously people are only, but there are people who still have to work from home, like you, so they're still occupied. They're not just bored at home, sitting around all day. So, but.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. Now, just coming back to that, because obviously, couple of boys have been a little bit naughty over the last couple of nights. Declan Rice and Mason Mount breaking isolation to play a five-a-side football game.
Well, I mean, what can you do? Lads will be lads. So I just think, you can't really blame them. They just really need to get out. Some people just will go stir crazy if they're kept inside too long. I've seen that from a lot of people. I
mean, I've literally had to go out every single day since Monday because I'm going stir crazy. It is, but I completely agree with these two, Mason and Declan, for doing this. From one point of view, because like you say, you got to try and keep yourself busy. Most of the players are out doing solo exercise and training anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they have to still keep playing. They still have to keep practicing. So what are they gonna do? I mean, technically, five-a-side, they're still keeping with these things where people say, don't go over like 10 people together. So they're, realistically, they're still kind of keeping within the guidelines. What can you do?
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, whatever happens in the next 6 weeks, 4 or 5 months, however long it's going to be, it's going to be a real test of character, both positively and negatively, for the entire globe. And so it'd be interesting to see what happens. And I just hope and pray that everyone sees sense and doesn't get so selfish as they have been for since the last pandemic, basically the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting to read that. Obviously, yesterday it broke. We all knew it was going to come anyway. That the Euros are being put back to June 21, again for understandable reasons, and also that UEFA want the Premier League and every other league to be wrapped up by the 30th of June this year as well, so to give a full 12 month break. Do you honestly think that's going to happen? That we'll see football by the end of June?
No, I mean, like we talked about earlier, I really think that it'll be canceled. I mean, I just think that they're being hopeful by giving out, this message that like they want it to resume June because they want to give people hope. But I think realistically, just to be safe, they'll put it off. But, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But I just think that to be safe and potentially, I mean, I don't know how involved, like, England's health commission is with sports. They would make them kind of try to put it off for a little while.
Dave, he's back. The fake person's back. Can you clear him, please? Sorry, this. I don't. This isn't the fake person, by the way. This is a friend of mine, Adam, saying, "Hello, Adam. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you back again." So I'm having to commute London. In London, it's crap. Regardless, it's shit. But I hope everyone pushes through it. Yeah, that sounds about Adam. It's a shit and crap every other word. So that sounds about right. Neil's also saying, I watched the West Ham United official history video that Claire and Hugh sent out. The link before your show came on, JP, and it was really good to catch up on some good football. I'm sure, mate. I'm sure. Neil says yes. Neil, he can get reported because all I can do is I can just block the user from the channel from the chat, but Dave can actually report the guy themselves. So I don't know. Do you know what? I said it last time that idiot came around. I take it as a compliment. I really, really take it as a compliment that somebody is pretending to be me. I love that. I love it. It's brilliant. But at the same point, that person is was putting comments, or maybe it might be somebody else doing the same thing, because a lot of people seem to be doing this every few months. Was asking questions on other channels that there's no way that I would put to anybody under any circumstances, which is why I know, obviously know it's not me because I'm watching it and someone else is making the comment under me. But yeah, just get a life, whatever you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, look,
I assume it's like a 14-year-old always when I see some of the things that they say, because like there's no way you could be an adult and sound that stupid.
Exactly, and likewise at the minute, there's so much crap going on. We don't need that level of trolling. I take it as a compliment, but it's really insulting at the same point, because it's gonna reflect this channel really badly on a few things. Yeah. Fortunately, they've been all right, but there's the level of respect. So I love it from that point of view. But that person said on a video that I did with Baz Cox a week or so before you originally came on, saying that I had the coronavirus in the comments. Now that for me is out of order. That's completely out of order.
This one,
well, you know it's a teenager. That's why you know it's a teenager.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They're never compliment, but the act of I know it's the same thing with anybody else. Like whenever you're in any sort of celebrity status, when someone is trying to mimic you, it's supposed mimicry is the highest level of compliment.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Exactly. I mean, I'm massively flattered by it, but I'm really irritated at the same point, because Dave's quite rightly pointed out saying these words weren't a compliment, John. So yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah, his words weren't a compliment. So yeah, but anyway, so right, new boy, defensive midfielder, Thomas Souček, or Souček. Sorry, I keep Souček.
Is it Souček or Souček or whatever?
Yeah. You mentioned him briefly earlier, but if the remainder of the season happens, there's a lot of ifs in this conversation tonight. But and if we do stay up, is he staying for you, or is he going?
Oh, he's staying. I hope so. I don't think anything should happen. I just think I like Suchek. I think I really rate him. So I think he can really start to mesh well with their team. I think Bowen's starting to mesh well too. So I think that there's definitely room for them to blend well with our squad. So
Mm.
that's what I hope.
Yeah, no,
Changes.
yeah, no, agreed. I mean, because we're starting to. It looks like there's just about a plan starting to be put together, and then anyway, but you know, it's just it is really it's a little bit weird to say that he's been touted as the next captain for next season. Now,
Yeah, that is weird. He's so
mm,
new. Like when I did my captain, I never considered him because he's just so new.
now I don't believe those. I don't think there's any much validity. I don't care what Clarence Hughes saying because there's a lot of stuff they come up and then they retract it a few hours later. But it's for me the only logical conclusion that you can come to that is because he's a defensive midfielder. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And yes, replacement for Noble. As much as I love him, yes, that's probably the thinking,
Place his
but
position.
not as a captain.
Captain.
We've not seen enough to see.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously
exactly.
they see more every day. We only see him for an hour, 2 hours a week. But yeah, I think if he is brought in as captain, I think that's massively harsh on players like Rice, like Ogbonna.
Yeah, and right now I
You
don't
know,
think he's being started in every single game, so that also doesn't make any sense. So I don't know.
yeah.
I just think I get like maybe in the future as a like he has potential, like that would be a correct thing to say like, oh well, because anyone realistically could have some sort of potential.
Mm.
Especially as a new player coming in who is playing well. But yeah, like there's no way he would be captain, chronologically before Rice. That just would not make any sense.
But this is West Ham.
Yeah, that's
Nothing
true,
West Ham
right?
does make sense. So.
We think it makes sense, and then all people do, and then we just go like, what the hell? Like, where did that come from? You're right. That is true.
Yeah, but also what was it? Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think that's probably one of the reasons. Maybe those mutterings caused Rice to say what he said early in the week or end of last week when he was saying that he never considered being a captain of a football team, but it's something that he's thinking about. So maybe it is a bit of a call to arms, for lack of a better way of putting it, to the owners and the manager.
I don't know if you see one of the comments that Adam wrote about like I wouldn't give it to Rice because he has enough responsibility on his shoulders. But I think that's a really good point. I said that a long time ago too.
Yeah.
Back when we were talking about like maybe like a year ago or so, someone talking about I think I was talking about it with X about potentially giving the responsibility to Rice and saying that was just too much for him. I think now he's a little bit better suited, but I think you're right at this point. Like he's still young, has not necessarily that he's inexperienced, but he already has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders because people just expect so much from him, and so also put captain on his shoulders, and the fact that like because he's doing so well and his career's moving forward, who knows if he's even going to stay at West Ham. So hopefully he does. I want him to. Of course we all want him to, but it is hard to put that kind of pressure on him. You're right.
Absolutely. And talking of pressure, the Herbert is back. I'm not giving them any more exposure, so just bear me 2 minutes. I'm just going to try and get rid of them again because it's hard to, and I don't think Dave's paying attention paying enough attention. So because I'm sure he's busy doing other things at the same point. So I'm just going to try and
well, thankfully
it just goes permanently because for some reason it doesn't seem to be working from this side. You can report it, but you have to block them from the channel at the same point. But while we're doing that, just quickly, I want to get your thoughts on. I want to get your thoughts on Snodgrass because apparently he's in line for a new contract. Do you think that's the right thing?
I mean, as a squad player, sure. Like I would be happy with him staying. He's just so slow. I love him as a person, so I'm happy with him staying. I think to a certain sense he can keep like some camaraderie with the squad, and that I think that would be a positive thing. But yeah, as a squad player, sure, he should stay.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for it in any shape or form not to do that. If we'd have signed him 5-6 years ago, I'd say for his passion and his ability and the fact that he gets in people's faces quite a lot, I'd say he was in line for being a captain.
Was that just his background?
In what sense?
Or Scottish in him. What am I trying to say? That's just how he is. That's why he's always saying, so he's always swearing, why he's always over the top. It just seems like that's just how he is. But maybe I'm just giving him too much of a pass.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true. I mean, but I mean, what was it, 4 years ago when we first signed him, and it was, the man's redeemed himself. He massively redeemed himself, and I love him for it. I really, really do. But as I say, I mean, he is captain material, or maybe vice captain material. There's that something missing. Not taking. I mean, Noble's, as much as I love Noble, he's been very, very inconsistent this season. I mean, he's inconsistent every season, but he's.
And you see Snodgrass talking. I think every single game I see him talking to Nagakia, like right when they're starting, and so obviously he's clearly trying to help him out, and he's trying to. So he is kind of taking that almost like a vice captain role, trying to help the kid out. So in that sense, that is very, that's very good of him. I like that.
Yeah, which is what a captain should be doing. I mean, taking the playing ability out of the equation, he's everything. But and likewise with Noble's everything, but he's a playing ability. And I love him to bits, but I don't sit there going, oh, for fuck. I mean, all right, okay. During the game, I don't like, fuck's sake, Noble, what are you doing? But at the same point, he's putting in 100 and. Well, they can't say 110% because it's mathematically impossible, but he's putting in everything to make sure that we get the tackles in properly and then everyone's organised right. And it's also nice to see that that Rice was talking to Ngaki quite a lot as well. So it's good. I mean, he's done that with everybody. Rice's debut against Burnley, within a couple of minutes, he was instructing people where to go and stuff. So so that's, for me, that's why I think he should be captain for next season. If Noble isn't, but yeah, Adam and you are absolutely right. He's got enough responsibility to deal with as it stands at the minute. So, also talking about academy graduates, interesting to read that apparently the club have said to West Brom, and more specifically Bilic, hands off to Grady Diangana. Right move?
Yeah, I really want him back. I mean, I really liked him when he was there. I am happy that he got some time, on loan to play for them, to get a little bit of a, I don't know, just to play, and to play there and get a little bit less pressure. So he kind of got his form right. So I really do want him back. I loved him as a player, and I think he's doing really well. And so I think he'd be great for us.
Absolutely. Adam is saying in relation to Snodgrass, definitely worth even a new deal, but wouldn't want to commit any more than 2 years. Yep, great, mate, 100%. Dave's saying player coach contract for Noble. Yep, that's absolutely spot on. And he's saying good ease our prospect, not theirs, aka Grady Diangana. Good question for me, and he's starting to pick his mind up recently. He said, would Dan Kent make a breakthrough next season? What do you reckon? Going off subject.
That's not something I have considered. That's something.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I can't answer that much either, because I've not been, even though I try and keep in much tabs on the youth as much as I can, I don't really. He's definitely a prospect. I'd love to see him do it. Because I think the reason why Ian's asking about that is because he's got he's been impressing a lot down in Charlton, and a little while ago he was linked with Bournemouth. I think Everton were looking at him as well, I think. Anyway, so you never know, but I can't say enough. I've not been able to see enough on there. But my thoughts about Grady, 100% hands off. Problem is, it's the position he plays, because if he comes back, he's got Yarmolenko to compete with. He's got Bowen to compete with. He's got Antonio to compete with. Technically, he's got Anderson because I always say Anderson plays better right on the right than he is on the left. Then that's the problem. Do we keep him and we just leave him to the cups, or do we actually give him an actual start? That's the quandary.
Yeah,
That's gonna be the difficulty.
I guess based on the other players that you're saying, I mean, trying to think about like I don't know how much longer Yarmolenko will stay. I don't know, like when is he out from injury? Because right now, you know, so I mean, he seems. I'm not that like I'm trying to put him down, but he seems to be turning almost into another. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name?
Andy Carroll.
Yes, thank you, man. I was gonna call him Man Bun. That's what I.
I knew that was what you were thinking.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, he seems almost to be turning into an Andy Carroll at this point, and it's just sad. When I forget people are still on our squad, and I think about all the players, I'm like, that person's still here. Like Wilshire's still here. What? Like, oh, but he's just injured, but he's still getting £100,000 a week. That's amazing, So, and I think about Antonio. It's funny because like I really like how he plays, and then I look at the statistics and the fact that he's only made 2 goals is ridiculous.
I know.
So not that I'm disregarding how good of a player he is, but that also gives room for maybe trying to start Diangana, maybe trying to put him in there. I don't know about his ability to maybe play right or left. I mean, I'm assuming he can only do one position, but hey, it's just based on on all these choices. Yeah, you're right. Like it is weird. Like where would we put him? But I think we should keep him.
Yeah, he's definitely one for the future. But as I say, the reality of it is, I mean, Yarmolenko. He is like an Andy Carroll. You're absolutely spot on with that. Not just because of his injury record, but not just because of his injury record, but when he comes on, he'll either get you a goal or he'll get you an assist. And that's the thing. That's why we loved him so much. Is because when Carroll came on, he would set something up, he would do stuff, and that's exactly what Yarmolenko does, which is why it's hard to do it. But at the same point, we're not seeing him enough. I've got a funny feeling we're not going to see much more of him. I know his contract's up the end of next season, if I remember correctly. I think it's 2022. It runs to. So it'd be interesting. To see what happens with that. But yeah, it would be interesting. I want to see kids of the future. But Adam's got an absolute spot on point here. He said that, not sure if he's capable. Seems a little lightweight. But at the same point, when you're a winger, you don't have to be much of a bulk, especially when we're trying to get players in.
And if it makes
housing, for example, I know full well that if we had Diangana on the pitch with Fornals, he could set him up, and then it'd be knock on to the striker, and that'd be perfect. That's exactly what is. But Adam also again makes another decent point. Is Sunday Silva is someone I want to see more involved. Agreed. He's smashing it in the junior version of League Two, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we go with that one. What do you think on Sunday Silva?
I've been paying that much attention to the. I should probably. I just honestly, I just been so I haven't been paying attention as much as I should. I recognize some of these names, knowing that based on the fact that their performance has been good, and obviously, and that people obviously have been seeing very good things from them. But that's something that I'm not gonna ever say like I know. I'm never gonna say I know more than I should. So I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know enough right now to say.
Fair enough. I'm not going to make you uncomfortable and just say something just for the sake of
it. Stuff that was off the list of stuff that we're supposed to talk about.
We'll make you a politician yet. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm not going to let a porn star be a politician.
Stranger things have happened. We've had actors turn into politicians. So stranger thing. In fact, a politician. A former actor ran your country for 3 terms. So
what are you talking about, Ronald Reagan?
Yeah. So anything's possible. Okay. So just where are we? So so give me your thoughts on how you feel Moyes has done since he came in November.
you know, he's let's just like he wants the job, whereas Pellegrini didn't. So I think that makes a big difference. I mean, Moya's not going to be perfect, but I think he's trying. You know, he thinks he's doing what is right. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So that's why I think that it's he's doing his best. At the end of the day, like what more can we ask for except that someone who's more involved and has more heart and more in it than Pellegrini. Did you see what David said? A donut managing a football club. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I mean, come on, at least he has a donut with some heart. Pellegrini is way more of a donut, I think.
I mean, from just to do the transatlantic what's the word translation. Donut means idiot over here, so that's basically what he's referring to.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough.
I mean, he's not, he might be a bit of an Alan Pardew and think he's covered in sugar, but that's basically where Dave's going with it. But yeah, no, agree. We're seeing the Moyes of old, and that's what worries me. We're seeing the Moyes of old, and that's what worries me because he wasn't good enough last time. He was the reason why he's failed ever since Everton is because he's too stubborn. Pellegrini was too stubborn. Moyes is too stubborn. Allardyce is too stubborn.
Aren't all managers? It's just it's very hard to find someone who isn't stubborn. They all think they're best, just like we do. So. And they're all trying to not hear all this commentary that's coming from all angles from other people telling them what the best decision is. So I think that's why they're so stubborn, is because everyone's trying to tell them what to do and what is the best decision. And at the end of the day, they can only go with what they think is correct. So.
No, I'm not sure where Dave's going with this, but he's just saying Karen Brady covered in sugar. We can take that two ways there, Dave. But he made a decent comment before. There's a documentary on TV tonight suggesting 12 months before everything's back to normal.
Yeah, I think overall, the whole world with everything with the economy, global economy plus each country's economy and everything. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just got all this stuff, from our LA mayor saying, there's a moratorium on evictions, all this stuff. So, because people just can't, I can't work really. I'm trying to make do with what I can working from home, which everyone thinks is what I do all the time, that I just have it so easy. And I put in a lot of effort into what I have to do. And working from home actually makes it a little bit harder. Yeah. So, right now it's, I'm lucky enough that I can survive for the next few months if I really take into account, all my credit cards and stuff, but it's going to ruin, if I do that, it's going to ruin my credit. There's all these things that go into account with everything that's going on. So that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's OnlyFans. I mean, I don't know from my point of view.
It's pretty much I've been using those kind of services. Plus, I have all my clip sites. But there's also this idea that you people who are trying to penny pinch also have to give up these luxuries.
Of course.
Whatever, this non-essential spending. So then, really, it does hit hard our service. Because it's non-essential spending and people who usually could afford it are trying to, give up these kind of things. Even I've cut out subscriptions to things that I don't need right now.
Yeah.
As I'm just trying to save money here and there because I'm trying to be good.
I've never heard you saying you're trying to be good. I've never heard that in the 9 months I've known you. But I know what you mean.
Being good, I gave up.
I know. I'm just making light of it. Whereas Neil makes a good point here. Said if our last 4 games is the way Moyes intends us to play, then I'm happy with Moyes, especially if Nolan stays as a coach. That for me, Neil, that sums up everything that I'm thinking about. Leonard, which I'll come to in a minute. Leonard, go on. You, what's your reaction to Neil's very good comment there?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a very good comment. I think that, but again, it's very hard to imagine, unfortunately, which we all want football back on right now. So, when it does happen, let's hope that everything is that way again. I mean, the good thing about it is hopefully all this, this pause on on sports gives everyone time to think and reflect, and that will only help. That will only make him, remember, oh, okay, well, this is what worked and this is what's going to keep working going forward. So as opposed to like when you have less time to think between matches, maybe you're making more rash decisions. Maybe that's why you're more stubborn. But with all this time to think, hopefully it'll only help.
Yeah, I agree. And Adam's made a very, very good point here as well, saying Nolan coming in has been a game changer, 100%. And this is what I was about to say about it, is because Nolan knows Noble. Obviously, he's worked with Creswell. He worked with Ogbonna very, very briefly before Nolan went. Who else is in the current squad that he would have worked with? That's about it, actually, thinking about it. Yeah, possibly. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. Wasn't around for Snodgrass. So yeah, that's about it. So he knows, but he knows he gets the club. And I honestly think it's Nolan being in charge of the training ground setups. Because, for example, Antonio is marking people the way that Nolan used to mark people. And I'm loving it from that point of view. Ian, I know you want questions from Lena, but she's really struggling with stuff. Like, apologies without questions beforehand. So because he's asking quite a lot. So actually, this is good. This is a good one. Could we do with a striker coach like we had with Sheringham to work with Allaire and other forwards?
I think that's a really good question. I think that would really be helpful, especially because right now I feel like they're struggling. So I think that would be good. Also, I've said this before. I think that there needs to be a sprinting like they need to go like a sprint camp for some of the players. Like, obviously, I mean, I don't know if it would help that much with Snodgrass at his age, but maybe it could help him. But I think even Rice could benefit from it, because like that's like the only fault I could ever see with him is that he's just like a touch too slow. And so same thing that they do for like American football players, maybe if they do that for some of our players, it might help, just to help them be a little faster. But yeah, no, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons, Lennon, why a lot of people compare Declan to Bobby Moore, is because Moore was far from a pacey player in any shape or form, but he read the game so well, the same way that Messi does. Not to the extent that Messi does, but you can see the thinking behind it. Is he can see what's about to happen, so he gets himself in the right position at the right time to make that tackle. 95% of the time it pulls off. Like you say, there have been a couple of times over the last couple of seasons where Rice has been turned, but he's still learning. I mean, we've got to remember, this guy's only just turned 21, 22, if that. He's got a long, especially if he's going to jump between defense and midfield. He's got a long career ahead of him, and he's learning every single day. I mean, it still staggers me that Jeremy Ngakia is 19. I think it was very, very close to 20 now.
I feel when I talk to girls that age, it makes me feel old.
But the way that he's been, the way that he played against Liverpool in both games, and the way he's continued that on, you'd think he's been playing for at least a couple of seasons. It's incredible how talented the kid is. But
and have said that have critiqued him, like, based on how he was playing, in the younger squad, saying that he wasn't going to play very well, with the older kid, but he's actually doing really well, which I'm glad about. People were just worried that he was just not going to be, I don't know how to say, he was just not going to be a mature enough player, and I think he's been doing really well. I mean, I do think a lot of that comes from the help he's been getting from Rice and Snodgrass. But it's just nice to see that people can be wrong sometimes about someone. I mean, maybe it's just his age. You're right. Maybe they just thought that he didn't have it in him because he was too young. But he's been doing really well.
He's been doing brilliantly. And Adam's asked a question. Said, worked with Randolph. I think he's referring to Nolan. Adam, I don't think he ever has, because Randolph came in under Bilic. And Nolan was gone by then, because he didn't, apparently Bilic didn't want him on. I could be wrong, but I don't think we had, because Adrian was the main goalkeeper under Bilic, whereas Allardyce had him around, but was more of the. I could be wrong. I'll double check it, but I don't think he was. And where are we? Miss Capone. Or Capone Miss, I should say, because that's a bloke. That's a bloke. I thought you got things the wrong way around. It's a great point about the sprint coach. And yeah, agreed, 100%. Okay, so right, so who leaves the squad before the start of next season, whenever that's going to be?
Sanchez, definitely. I hope so.
Mhm.
I'm assuming Wilshere just because, nothing has really happened. He's barely been there. We'll see Mazuaku, I think, because he hasn't really been playing that much. I mean, we'll see if that's true or not. But I think Fredericks, maybe Reed, and then Lanzini and Anderson. I just think that a lot of people love Lanzini. I just think he hasn't ever fully recovered from his injury. So I just truly don't think he'll renew his contract, or I really think that I'm surprised he's not going to retire, or I don't know, maybe he wants to play a little bit more just for fun, maybe a different division, but and then Anderson. So, but those are just my predictions. I'm not saying it's going to be true. Like, for all I know, is like Mazuaku, Lanzini, and Anderson, and maybe even Fredericks will stay, or fuck all, and everyone will stay, and no one, not one of those will leave, and someone who we least expect and love will leave. So,
yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. I mean, I love Lanzini, but you're right, he's not been consistent enough. You're absolutely spot on with it, I say, because he's not been consistent enough. Anderson, definitely. I'll be interesting to see what Adam says in a second. Here we go. Yep. So Adam is saying, Ayeti, Wilshere, Sanchez, Reed permanently, Masuaku, Lanzini, Yarmolenko. Yep.
That's true. I haven't seen much of a Jetty either. Yeah, Fornals has been great, and because it's funny because in my head, a Jetty and Fornals look and are exactly the same person, but I know Fornals plays a lot better. But for some reason, I forget a Jetty even exists because they were signed right around the same time, and for some reason, I think they look similar. I don't know why. I have them wrapped up in my head as like the same person. It makes no sense. I know.
Yeah, no, I can understand that because they are very, very similar in a lot of ways. So yeah, I can get that. Tony is saying Wilshere and Sanchez must, maybe Yeti and Lanzini. I think it's a bit harsh on Yeti, to be honest with you, because he's not proven enough. But
that's true, yeah.
But at the same time, he's not getting the time. So if he's not getting the time, he's not good enough. We might as well just get rid of him if he's not getting the time.
Yeah, so 22, because if you don't have the time to prove yourself, then you can't prove yourself, and then
exactly.
you're awful.
And also, Tony says Masuaku as well. I agree. I love the bloke. If he played as a winger, I think it would be fantastic. But it's just never going to happen. Masuaku has said himself that he's a winger, so he's not a defender. And that therein lies the problem, unfortunately. Capone's back says Anderson can be great sometimes, then other times it's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
But right now, more times that it's the latter. That it's more times like, what the fuck am I doing here? So that's the unfortunate part. That's why I think he needs to go, because he had like a very short window where he was just on his game and really just like in the right headspace and really doing well. But unfortunately, he's so dependent on, I guess, like the whole team doing well and us winning, and he can't deal with the pressure of us like losing and doing well, because then his performance is affected, and then if his performance is affected, we keep losing, and then it just sucks. It's just a circular thing, and it's not good. It's just not good for the morale of the whole team in general when he's acting like that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, and that was half the problem that we've got with Allaire at the moment, because he's very, very he's very, very an Arnautovic style, that if you can't see the a goal being scored, then he's not interested. We saw that a lot with Arnautovic last season, and to a degree, yeah, absolutely. Same with Anderson. He's getting back to how he was when we first signed him, but he's not there yet. And that's a little bit of a concern. Adam's asked a very nice question, so I'm sure you'll be able to answer. Who's been your hammer of the year? Adam knows what mine is.
Yeah, I think I would say Rice. He's always been really great. really reliable. Very few times, like, yeah, of course, like there's a few times he's messed up. Maybe he's not the best at taking headers, or trying to make goals, because he's trying to be really, he really confident, enthusiastic, and trying to help out, but maybe he needs to practice a little bit more on those. But hey, I just
Yeah.
think he's still my hammer of the year.
Yeah, no, it's a bloody good shout. Ogbonna is mine. Me and Adam have been on the few occasions we have been talking, because he's stepped back from West Ham. It's nice to see him getting back onto YouTube channels and talking to people again. But yeah, we've been saying every single game that I think Ogbonna's had like one bad game out of all the games he's played this season.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of statistics don't lie. That just goes to show.
I would honestly say, Ogbonna and Rice for their ability, 100%. I'd say Snodgrass just because of how much he cares and how much he fights.
That's true.
And likewise with Noble for the same reason. But
yeah, Dave agrees with that too. I remember him saying on their show that he just really loves Snotty because he just has that kind of positivity, and he really tries and he puts in his all, which can make a huge difference within the whole scope of the team. But I do also think Fabianski, if he didn't get injured, not that is his fault, but that's the only reason why. But if he never got injured, though, he would be my hammer of the year. And
agreed.
In a sense, because he did come back, he still does make a huge difference. There's no two ways about it. He still did make a huge difference when he came back. So I don't know. Yeah.
Capone's confirming the same thing. Yeah. He has been the difference, 100%. Dave has asked a question because he's only been coming on to watching the channel for the last 2 to 3 months, so he doesn't really know your background.
Yeah.
Obviously we talked about it first time round, but why West Ham, Lena?
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I would say like he can watch any of the multiple interviews I've done where I answered the question, because it's just a long story short. It was just I was studying abroad in London, and a guy I was seeing took me to a game, and his team was not West Ham, but it ended up being mine by the end of the match. So
because that was the bowling ground you went to, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that actually brings us, one of the reasons why I wanted to point that question out is that brings on nicely to the last part of this conversation, is your all-time starting 11. Now Dom, I asked this question of Dom, and he gave the players that have been in since he's been watching it, and that's fine. I get it, but so the same logic applies to you, or it can be players that you haven't watched.
Players even before I started watching. Just because it's fun to imagine. It's fun to do this. It's like it's a game. So I would put Fabianski in goal. Yep. I would put Billy Bonds and Bobby Moore in defense. I would put Lucas Neal as right back. Mm-hmm. I would put Konchesky as left back. I would put Trevor, Brooking, Noble, and Rice in midfield. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess like it's harsh to say this, but like Noble at his best, in his prime form.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Jeff Hurst as center forward.
Okay.
Or if not him, then Demba Ba. Payet as left wing, and Alan Devonshire as right wing.
That's a good squad. I like that. There's no. I mean. Yeah, but Billy Bonds, Billy Bonds was more of a midfielder, but I can see why you put him in defence, 100%. Yeah. But yeah, it would have been brilliant there, 100%. Konchesky, I'm thinking the FA Cup final against Liverpool is the reason why you want him at the left back, is it?
Exactly. A girl can dream. It's funny when you imagine all these people from different time periods trying to play together on one team, or. It's just so it's fun to imagine. It's great.
Yep, and Capone agrees with you completely. It's a bang on the money there. So, yeah, so I've been telling you, man. You know your stuff. It's good. You know a lot more than you think you do. And
again, like everyone else, like you can't watch, so it's still fun to have a hobby. To look back on old matches now. Even, what else can you do?
Exactly. But guys, thank you very much for your time in the chat. Thank you for, there's been a lot of conversations going on there, which is nice. It's got a nice little community going on there. I know I've been saying it for about a year, but it's, you know, the channels literally just exploded. We've had like the beginning of last week, channel was on 650 subscribers, and the time of this broadcast we were on like 1526, I think it was, or whatever it is. But it's been brilliant. And Lena, it's always been a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that of everybody that I've had on as guests, I mean, with the exception of Dave, who I talked to pretty much every event I've been to, you and Baz are the guys that I have been on the channel that I'm in keep in contact with the most. It's brilliant. I love it. It's the fact that one of the things I love about being, and not just as a West Ham fan, but a football fan in general, is the fact that you get to meet and get to know people from everywhere. You know, it's just there's like, for example, you know, we've got Darren, who's been following the channel for pretty much before I changed it to JP WHU TV. He's been following the channel since it was my own personal one. He lives over in Bangkok. He's an absolutely brilliant bloke. I'm gonna say, you know, you and I have had a few chats. Baz, Neil, for that matter as well. Adam, I've got to know quite well from when we're on West Ham Fan TV together and stuff, and the see him at games and that. It's brilliant. I absolutely love it. And the whole point of while we're in this lockdown close season, shall we say, is that I want to get more guests on, because at the end of the day, we're all a community. We've all got opinions about West Ham, and it doesn't, you know, we don't have to talk about the subjects of the time. It's just literally that get everybody's opinions, and so we've got Charlie from Hammer's Chat. He's coming back on soon. Hopefully it's going to be Saturday. Mitchell, who's on who's on West Ham Fan TV as well. He's coming on Sunday. Hopefully, I'm going to try and organise him as well. So there's loads of other guests. I'm going to try and keep it to about two a week. I might actually see if Charlie can rearrange it possibly, but we'll sort something out, because I don't want to be overloaded too much. But guys, there's a video coming out on Friday that Darren's asked me to do about other teams that play in the Claret and Blues. That's going out on Friday morning at 11 o'clock UK time. So basically when you're getting up, Lena, basically pretty much. So keep an eye out for that. It's some very interesting stuff. And I've not just kept it to the UK teams as well. There's other teams from all over the world that play in Claret and Blue, and a lot more than you think. So keep an eye out for that. I think you guys are going to love it. And Adam's been generous. He's actually donated $1.99, a little something. Take care. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you very much for the super chat. Because Rick is normally the person that gives me a super chat donation. So thank you very much for that, mate. Much appreciated. But Lena, as always, thank you very, very much for your time. It's been great to chat to you, guys. And as I say, thank you everybody that have been talking in the chat. Ian's from Hammer's Chat is Hammer's News is saying, JP, you're just up the road. I mean, right. You've sealed your fate there, Sunshine. We have to sort something out, definitely.
You're not allowed to leave your house unless you're walking your dog, so you guys have to meet up.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. I'm going to talk to him straight after this as well. But guys, thank you very, very much for your time. As I say, the new video is coming up on Friday, so check that out. And as I say, there'll be guests coming on over the weekend as well. So in the meantime, look after yourselves, clean yourself as much as possible, especially you, Dave, and just behave and just don't go mental. Just relax. You know, we're all as a collective on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, for that matter. We're all here for each other. Now is the time for us to be together, and we shouldn't be divided under any circumstances. Even if there's any Spurs or Millwall fans watching this, you know, we're all a community in various different guises. We should be all helping each other out. So, guys, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you guys. Well, I say the recorded version of me will see you on Friday. Otherwise, I will see you live over the weekend. Take care of yourselves.